In a letter that was sent on January 5th, Mayor Bowser, you stated that the National Guard, that you were accepting the support, but you wanted them to be in an unarmed capacity. Is that correct?
Yes.
Donald lays out case that Pelosi is to blame for failure to get troops on Capitol grounds on that day. I'm not even going to say the date because that date gets people in trouble. Ain't that sad? We've been looking at these congressional hearings and they've been on fire. This used to be extremely boring to me. This type of stuff used to be extremely boring to me, but now when I see it, it's good. It's good information. And the one thing I don't like is seeing that the people that they're questioning can actually tell them that they don't understand. I mean, that they don't want to answer the question. They don't give it, like, they're not held accountable. I don't like that at all, man.
Chair recognizes Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Mayor Bowser, good to see you. Chief Conti, it's been a while. You haven't been back for 2 years or so. It's good to see you. Mr. Donahue, first time.
Byron is going to school somebody. I already know, man. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and D.C. officials testify before House Oversight Committee. Okay.
Mr. Graves, bro, you need to do your job.
Whew.
I mean, let's just be very clear. You know, obviously, you have a responsibility to the residents of the district in a myriad of ways. I think, you know, my colleague talked about that and went in some heavy detail there. But if you're not going to do the job of actually standing behind Chief Conti and the work that his men and women do with the Metropolitan Police Department, then you're selling them down the river, and with them, the residents of D.C. And even the tourists that come to DC. But, you know, they're the ones that live here. They, you know, they ride the bus, they get on the metro, they're going to school, they're going to work, and what everybody wants is just to be safe. And you're not holding up your end of the bargain. I've seen MPD all over DC. They're out here every single day. It's not, they are here. It's very clear when they're on the scene. But you're not doing your job. So I just find it to be disgusting, frankly. Just uphold the law, enforce the law, and that actually will make the job easier for the chief and for the mayor to do their jobs.
Wow. This man he's calling him out, and the guy he's not saying anything. It's like, bruh, God, wow. Thanks, I thought I was doing my job. Wow. The only time you're that quiet when somebody's chastising you is when you know that they are right. Wow, maybe I'm not doing my daggone job. Okay, I'm trying to do my job. I mean, they are paying me, so why not?
Mayor Bowser, real quick, you know, when the Oversight Committee was investigating January 6th, you were not here. I don't know what was going on, so no need to go down that road. But I really had a question about, you requested troops on you addressed National Guard troops on December 31, 2020. Is that correct?
That sounds right, but I would want to confirm the dates.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Based upon any recollection that you have, what was the rationale for requesting National Guard troops?
We wanted to make sure that our city blocks were protected, and the chief decided we were in that transition week, so the chiefs decided that we wanted to create a traffic box around certain parts of our downtown, and the best use of resources would be National Guard instead of MPD, so that MPD could be available for law enforcement. So that was our request.
Okay, so quick follow-up to that, because, you know, I remember it, having gone through orientation here before I got sworn in as a member of Congress, that during that time period, you know, to the pandemic and everything else, there was no traffic in DC, not like it is today. Like, nobody was driving through the streets of DC during that time period. So, like, and this is a legitimate question, was the concerns purely traffic corridors in the district for the date of January 6th?
Let me ask the chief to talk about how we—
Sure, Chief Conti, if you can, that'd be great.
Yeah, so traffic is part of the concern. You know,
Muriel Bowser is a nice looking woman. It kind of sucks though when we just decide that we're going to just disregard everything else for the sake of repping a certain side. I'll go into that a little later when you think of the things that she has overlooked just for the sake of coming off as the mayor who will do anything for the city, regardless if it's good for the people or not. Just like she just now deferred to the chief to answer the question. She could have answered the question, but these people are so careful in what they say that they don't want to clip up and fall from simply answering the question. And that's why it's very difficult for me to respect politicians, because they're snakes. Anyone that you speak to that has to be that careful with their speech are hiding something. And it sucks, because in the grand scheme of things, we are all here trying to help one another. We're trying to protect this land that we're on, protect this earth that we're a part of, protect the people who are in it, and move forward together. But that's not the case.
Certainly, when we create traffic boxes, and we're expecting a lot of people in our city, we don't want to mix people and cars. So creating that space where for people who are expressing their First Amendment rights could peacefully be in the street or on the sidewalk or whatever, and not be hindered by cars and buses moving about.
Well, Chief, I just want to reclaim my time. I'm a minute 28. That's no disrespect to what you're saying. And my coughing, no disrespect to either.
No worries.
So real quick, now in a letter that was sent on January 5th, Mayor Bowser, you stated that the National Guard, that you were accepting the support, but you wanted them to be in an unarmed capacity. Is that correct? Or Chief Conti, can you corroborate that? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So she actually requested that they were unarmed. They were in unarmed capacity. Remember that part, because I'm going to come back to that.
And I thank you for that. These are some of the things that we just want to clarify it. And I think here's the overarching point. And to be frank, honestly, Mayor Bowser, this really ain't got nothing to do with you. I think this is just a general point of what happened, when, and why. And I think, actually, last question for you. When your request for National Guard troops were, obviously, they were answered and you were given whatever you needed. Is that correct?
We were given, I believe, some of what we requested.
Okay. Were there any limits that came from the Secretary of the Army?
Yes.
Okay. Can anybody stipulate what that was?
Yeah, a couple of things. So we wanted, well, first of all, the limitation was we could not change their assignments without first receiving approval from the Secretary of the Army. We could not move National Guard members anywhere east of 9th Street Northwest. We couldn't move them there. And another thing we wanted was a quick reaction force, members of the National Guard to be able to respond. I don't think we received that resource either.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Last point I'll make, Mr. Chairman, and I know I'm slightly over my time. One thing that was clear in previous testimony in this committee, corroborated by this testimony today, is that, troops from National Guard were authorized by the president at the time, Donald Trump, on January 4. They were authorized. It was testified in this committee they were authorized. DC was able to take advantage of them in the capacity that DC wanted to save for the couple of requests that you also wanted. One thing it's important to indicate, Mr. Chairman, is...
Yeah, this sounds like a coup to me. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a coup. We got all these National Guards in place to make sure that nothing happened to all of these high-ranking officials, but we're going to call it the worst day since 9/11. Come on, man, get out of here. It's just smoke and mirrors, bro. It's so political that it stinks, man. I don't like it at all.
Is that for National Guard troops to be deployed to the Capitol, it requires a Capitol Police Board to actually issue a state of emergency for troops to come on Capitol grounds. And the police board is made up of the architect of the Capitol, the head of Senate Security, the head of House Security, and the chief of the Capitol Police. And by my understanding, 3 of those 4 people report to the Speaker of the House. And the Speaker of the House at that time was Nancy Pelosi. So when we want to talk about National Guard being here and the timetable of them getting here, it's important to understand that there were National Guard in the District of Columbia, and their limitation of coming to the Capitol was not due to anybody else, because the president is not authorized to deploy troops to the Capitol, separation of powers. It is at the hands of the Speaker of the House.
Who was inside of the Capitol at the time, shaking in her tube socks, acting like her life was in danger. Everybody was so afraid when everything was already signed off by her. Come on, guys. Come on. We can't make this type of stuff up. This is so Hollywood. It's sickening. He just now broke it down to y'all. He just now talked to the mayor. He talked to the chief of police. And they all confirmed that they knew that National Guard was going to be there. They actually requested that they not be armed. And all of these requests got to be approved by Nancy Pelosi, who was the Speaker of the House at the time and was inside of the building shaking in her tube socks, knowing good and well that she was safe. Come on, man. Relax. All of this is theater, and a bunch of bad seeds was planted in the middle of it all to make it worse than it was. And we still know. Come on, this is so damn dumb. It's dumb. That's what it is. It's dumb.
And with that, I yield, and I apologize for being 1:24 over.
It's ridiculous, man. And here's the thing. Someone just now said, Lisa Marie, thank you so much for that comment. She just now said, your average low information voter doesn't know any of this. Well, guess what? They would prefer it that way. Like the powers that control their votes and that use their votes for evil, they would prefer that they know nothing. They would prefer that they are misled, because the same people who were at these Black Lives Matter protests after that day, they were acting as if it was black people out there, then they would have been out there armed to the teeth. They would have had guns. The armed guards would have been out there. The police would have been out there with dogs and water hoses. And Mayor Marion Bowser was like, yep, and was not saying anything to anybody, letting them know that we authorized this, but we're gonna go ahead and let y'all speak because it helps our narrative. And since it helps our narrative, I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet and let the people, say what they want to say. And that's irresponsible. That's what it is. It's just irresponsible, man. It's irresponsible, and it doesn't lend itself to a positive outcome at all. But what they was trying to achieve, they achieved it, because that stank will always be on the Conservative Party and on Donald Trump, because that's the way that they painted it out. And because of that, they could potentially hold him from being able to become the president of the United States again. So they did their jobs. They played dirty, man. They played dirty. It's imperative that we share this type of information so that people know that they've been played. That's it.